The year is 2025. A cackling hyena is now your new Führer. A trained Marxist vice president is funding mass civil unrest with your tax dollars across the nation, burning your home streets to the ground. And Gary Gensler is the newly appointed Treasury Secretary under President Harris. This is the nightmarish dystopia we are on the edge of, and crypto is dead. This could be a reality, folks, if you do not share this stream right now. Spread the message about what we are dealing with, because the world, and especially Americans, might be shut out of crypto forever. But my God, what a beautiful day to be alive. Make sure you unmute number 2 for me, Isaac, there, because we got a special man sitting with me, sipping his drink. Justin, how the hell are you doing?
It's a strawberry milkshake.
It's a strawberry milkshake?
Yeah.
Well, that brings all the boys to the yard.
Yeah.
Nice.
A milkshake usually does. That just scared the shit out of me. What you just said.
You know, I gotta say it, man. This is the, I mean, and if Biden won the last one.
Did he win? Oh, you mean stole?
Well, officially, it's on paper. It's in the history books.
Yeah.
He spent 4 years in.
Can we say steal? Is there a sheet for that?
Oh, God. You know, they arbitraged. Let's just use arbitrage, yeah.
Yeah, they did arbitrage.
So, and, you know, it's not been dealt with. Even, you know, remember when Governor Kemp tried to bring up the meddlings, and then within a week, one of his beloved daughters, a boyfriend, ended up incinerated in his vehicle, and then the investigation stopped, right? This is what we're up against here. So it is absolutely crazy out there. Shout out to everyone for joining me on this heartfelt show today. Big Hands Dan, Objectively Real Reality, Green Day Prophets, Crypto Cody. I did not find a drummer yet. We're still looking. Johnny December out there catching massive, massive fish. Shaka, Nuanda Bob, KO Kev, Crypto Ditto, Nicole Ministator, Army Piper, Rusty Bot. You know what? Nick Dunn, thanks for the shout out. I got followed by Roger Stone last night.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
That's huge. That's really, really big.
And I delivered some information to him that we have. It's in the black site. I'll show you where you guys, black site members, can find this. I got this info straight to Roger Stone last night on a space. If you are a black site member, or you're supporting the channel in the biggest way possible by becoming a black site member, you have access to this video, which brings a pile of receipts about where our tax dollars are going right now, who they're going to, and what those people did with our tax dollars last selection cycle in the summer of love, and what brought America to right on the edge of an 1861 moment. Honestly, they're pouring even more money into it this time, and it's going to get even worse. So if you are supporting the channel, you support my unrelenting movement towards getting this information out to you before it happens, so that you can put yourself in a position of power. You look in your heart, you find room to support the basement in that regard. I would very much appreciate it. So now we have some things going on. We got some fake BLS numbers, all kinds of crazy news. Here's my account, 2,600. I got the basement account to 4,000 last night.
Congrats on that. That's massive.
I went on a space right after the Roger Stone one with CryptoFace. And hung out with CryptoFace.
Yeah.
He's cool. He's cool. He's watching the channel. He's keeping a track on me here.
That's it.
Says I'm one of those feisty rising people here. It's kind of cool to hear. I mean,
CryptoFace was one of the guys that I watched early on. Loved his personality. It was kind of around the inception of the old channel here, and but he's just a very interesting cat. Got a lot of cool political views and religious and spiritual views, believe it or not.
Yeah, he's a cool dude.
Yeah, he is.
Very level-headed. He was given, you know, people were coming to him with a bunch of questions on the Billy Goat Tales Twitter space, and I was also on the MAGA. I'm one of the main speakers for MAGA Token now on their spaces. So very, very pleased to be a part of that. Now we have someone that I am very, very excited that is in the wings and ready to join us. One of the best in the TA business, Evan ALDO, and I'm going to bring him up here because I want his approach to how we should be handling our expectations out of the market right now. We've seen some chop. We got some dangerous Fed data dealing with obviously the Fed minutes, and then soon the September Fed meeting. Let's bring him on up here, see if we can hear him. Evan, how are you doing, brother?
Hey, Drew. Yeah, appreciate you having on. Thanks for the awesome introductory. Great to be on the
Yes,
channel.
absolutely,
And
man. I'm
yeah,
shaking off the good time in Nashville still. So, and I ran into you. You came and hung out with me. You're a very based, down to earth individual, and
thank you.
honestly, you work one of the best in the biz. I have some things I'm going to be asking you that are more nuanced, but I want to get your opinion. We've seen and I've heard from a lot of very logical TA folks looking at a potential pullback to $43,000 Bitcoin. And I know that there's some pressures shooting from the hip. I know it's hard to what kind of scenario can you see playing out for Bitcoin to get us down to that $43,000 level?
Well, I'm actually more bullish, man. I
Really?
don't, 43K, my prospectus was to hit the high 40s, and then kind of see that recovery, kind of upward as we already have. So let me show you a chart here. We'll go through potentially, obviously, with the let's just go through a broad macro kind of analysis first, and we'll talk about that scenario. But well, let's just look at where we are kind of in the 4-year cycle. Now, the first thing that I want people to realize that I think nobody's really talking about, this is Bitcoin versus the DXY, which is a pretty good metric of Bitcoin adjusted for inflation. And we did make a new all-time high against our USD pair, but adjusted for inflation, we have not in terms of buying power, because look at that old all-time high from November of 21. And right here where we are in March of 24, not quite there. We'd probably have to hit around 75K to make a true new all-time high adjusted for inflation. So in terms of what I look at, we have not lost the 4-year cycle. Bear market, then this is where these lines, these blue lines, this is where we are in the 4-year cycle. August of 2016 and then August of 2020. You had your pullback there, then you generally, continued forward. You did take some time to make a true new all-time high in the 4-year cycle here. This wasn't until March or April, I believe, in 2017. And then when Bitcoin made its true new all-time high here, it was November 2020. So, I mean, pick your poison. I think it'll happen somewhere probably at the earliest November of this year, and at the latest like February, March of next year. We got our pullback right here, similar to our pullback in August, September of 2020, very similar in August of 2016. So I would not bet against the 4-year cycle at all just yet. And if we look at, let's go more into a prospectus. I mean, obviously, I didn't see if the Fed minutes. I don't know when they come out. They come out real soon, I think, though. But I cannot imagine Powell sounding very hawkish. I think whatever he says most likely will bring the market up. And when I look at my 2-day right here on Bitcoin, my trigger wave, more so it points to continuing forward, potentially getting a pump into the next FOMC meeting, potentially mid to late September, getting a pump, and then typically after you see the first pivot, I think there could be more economy scares, unemployment scares that may bring us back down to 60K. Now, here's where it gets dicey. If we can't break above where we are right now, right around that 61K point, here's where if you lose, that 57, you lose this pocket, then you retest 49. That's where we get into, those lower numbers. But as of right now, and if you follow, kind of the 4-year cycle and into the election, typically markets, Bitcoin does typically come up in those election years, 2016 and 2020 into the election. Most likely, I think it will continue forward. So I'm not really seeing that 43K. It's absolutely possible. The last thing I'll say right now, I'm short-term timeframes, you're getting some trigger waves, very boring of a market, but I would still lean on the bullish side. Very traditional basic TA, reverse head and shoulders, plus some trigger waves in your lower timeframes here. If you break upward, you would easily see a technical target, right? What I was looking at right around 65, 66K. So I think you potentially could get up to those points, maybe get close to 70K, maybe get everybody excited into September. Then you reject down into September, October, that type of situation, retest 60, maybe even come down to 50 again. But yeah, I would not bet against the 4-year cycle. I would not get overly bearish and talk about 43K just yet. So
Yeah. I don't know, you're like inside my brain because the only person I had said this to was Face last night on a space with him is adjusted for inflation. We have not broken all-time highs in terms of buying power.
No.
And that is, when I'm sitting, I don't want your opinion on this too, but if you adjust for inflation, we have not broken that all-time high. And by buying power rights, we are ranging right where we should be in terms of 4-year cycle price patterns. And that personally for me made me feel more comfortable that we hadn't already overextended beyond the all-time high. And now we're just on a slow ride to hell going into 2025, which is a lot of people's concerns, right? We have a lot of people with altcoin bags that are down 70% since the hype of March, April timeframe this year. Things got very frothy. And on this show, I was outwardly taking a lot of profits for myself because I constantly am taking profits, but there's a lot of people that did not. And so they're wondering if the fun is done, if the market had been already cooked essentially. And you stole the thoughts right out of my brain and explained it in a very, very good manner. Now, you brought up something interesting about a potential pullback in September, and we have the Fed meeting, Jackson Hole Fed meeting in September. And obviously the news is already all out there. They're looking at 1.2 million jobs having to be revised back down, essentially showing that the economy and the jobs market is much weaker than they're selling to the American public over the last few months here. And the Fed has been operating off that arbitrage data. Do you think that there is any potential that the Federal Reserve comes out and does a 50 basis point cut in September, thus causing that scare in the traditional markets?
The only scenario I could see that happening is if we start to nosedive right now. Like if we start to see the S&P 5, like that's more based on kind of the S&P 500. And we could go to our, S&P 500 chart right here. I would be shocked if they do a full 50 point base cut, unless like you would probably need to see this situation at least probably even back down to these levels, because this is where we were right here when people were talking about it, when the betting odds were favored for a 50 point basis cut. And then as we came up here, those odds went to 25. So if you would probably have to see this come down, I would say 520, it'd have to come down significantly. You'd have to see more scares with unemployment. So right now, the odds I would say of a full 50 point basis cut are very low. So, yeah.
Nice. Okay. And, something I also wanted to touch on is I saw that you've been tracking the money flows on the larger time frames. Have you seen any signs of worry on the larger time frames for money flow for Bitcoin in particular, as far as the ebb and flows, ups and downs for it? Because I know a lot of people are kind of looking at daily time frames for it, but I wanted your kind of backed up view on the money flow. Are we looking par for the course in terms of the previous cycles, in your opinion?
I think it's following the previous cycles. Let me show you why right here. If we go back to our Bitcoin versus DXY chart, Bitcoin essentially adjusted for inflation, look at the money flow in the 2 week, right here. Essentially, this is where we were in the cycle here. That area that we're kind of approaching where we were, same thing. And this cycle has been a lot more similar, almost following 2016. This 2024 year following 2016 very similarly. Look at the money flow right there. Look at where we are. So, and the fear that you were mentioning, it's the same fear. I remember back in September of 2020, there was a lot of fear right here. People were talking about going back to filling a CME gap at 9K. It never happened. 2016, I don't remember extremely well, but I'd imagine there was a lot of fear too with this August pullback. So in all likelihood, I think we will kind of follow the cycle. Now, I want to talk about a little bit about what you mentioned about altcoins, and they have gotten obliterated, a lot of them, against Bitcoin. But what I want to show you here is a good metric of what we could look at. Let's get up our Bitcoin dominance chart right here. And I just want to zoom out on the weekly here. So Bitcoin dominance peaked out right at this area right here, December 2020. What happened in December 2020, exactly towards the end of December 2020, if I remember correctly? It was when Bitcoin made a new all-time high. And this is when the true altcoin season really started, this drop down. Now, if it's like that, the moment that Bitcoin makes that new all-time high, that 75K, which I think will most in all likelihood happen, let's go back to this chart, will most likely happen sometime between November and February, will most likely happen then you see altcoins doing well. The other thing that we got to realize here is that typically after one rate cut, like I was mentioning, kind of on this chart, typically after one rate cut, things do come down. So I would assume things come up into the rate cut, then come down into October, and then recover into November. What happens in November? Most likely another 25 basis point rate cut. And then that could be what really that's where really you see the true money printers start coming back on. You see that rate cut, Bitcoin makes a true new all-time high. Maybe we hit 75, 80K. That's when altcoins really start to do very well. And we could just go on, let's say Matic, for example, Matic versus Bitcoin, which is one I think will probably continue to do well. Let's say we, get another depressant. You come up a little bit in September, get some more depression with the rate cut. Then we finally bottom out against Bitcoin, and then you're kind of home free. And hopefully, repeating a rally. I don't know if it's going to be as good as this rally against Bitcoin that's the part in the 4-year cycle. This bottomed out against Bitcoin. And right when Bitcoin made a new all-time high, December of 2020, then it came up. Oh my God, this was what, 1,000x against Bitcoin? I mean, It's not going to be that crazy, but you could see, maybe at least a 200% to 800% against Bitcoin. I think you got a good shot of getting back up to these highs. So, if you have altcoins right now, I think at this point, it's not a good idea to sell them. I would just stay the course. These could jump up against Bitcoin quickly.
I love it. And, Matic was one of my favorite plays last cycle. It was an accidental play. I picked it literally just because of the logo. I had no idea, that it was a layer 2. I didn't care about any of that tech stuff. I was like, cool, it's a logo. It's a nice logo. It's released at a reasonable time into a bullish market. So I bought it. Went from like a few cents up to over $2, and then I sold it. And that was one of the good coins that I trained myself to like take profits and not keep expecting it, because the narrative was there. It could go to $5, $10. Like this thing went from a few cents to $2. So I absolutely took it. Now you brought up altcoins. There's been a lot of worry about Ethereum and Ethereum's trajectory. I mean, it really has had a lackluster rebound after the ETF was approved. We expected the pullback at least to 2,900. That thing went all the way down to 2,200 and is sitting here playing around the $2,500 level. And on top of that, the ETF outflows from the Grayscale Trust, not necessarily the hard-sided spot ETFs, are only half as much as the Bitcoin outflows were for Grayscale. So I'm kind of worried that there's even more Grayscale Ethereum Trust to leave the hands of those trust holders and find its way into the ETFs. What is your outlook for Ethereum? Is it going to continue to kind of be a laggard until we get to that November moment that you highlighted earlier?
If I had to guess, yes, I would probably guess that we stay on that trajectory. Let me show you on the chart here on Bitcoin or ETH versus Bitcoin. Let's get that chart up, because there's a lot of stuff we could look at with the 4-year cycle here. So obviously, when you zoom out here, look at, this is ETH versus Bitcoin. When it bottomed out against Bitcoin last time, this was September of 2019. Now, in the 4-year cycle, we're like almost a year past that. So that's no good for people hoping that we bottomed out a year ago. Mm-hmm. However, back in July of 2019 was when the Fed first started cutting rates in 2019. That was 2 months after they started cutting rates. So if they cut rates in September, it would be October, November for that bottom that I'm looking at. So, and I mean, I don't think it's going to be that catastrophic. I mean, maybe you could bleed down like from where we are right now, like another 20%, 25% the most maybe against Bitcoin. I mean, what we look at, it's starting to get better with the money flow here in the weekly too. And what I'm kind of looking at as well in the 2-week is another kind of bullish divergence. If you could see money flow starting to come up, this one we had right here, this was a red herring. It didn't play out too well and we came down. But if we see the next time it happens, I would assume it would play out better and then you could come up higher. So the other thing too, I want to compare, this is interesting too. If we compare this to where ETH bottomed out this is a while ago. I mean, some people may not say this means anything because this was when ETH, nobody really knew too much about ETH back in 2016. It bottomed out in the 4-year cycle in December against Bitcoin. And then you just shot up like crazy, right here. This was, a 20x against Bitcoin. So my base case is that the longest we would have to wait is probably November, December, and just don't be asleep because, this could shoot up quickly and then outperform, if we were to follow, let's just like trace this from the bottom here, how long we outperformed Bitcoin for. This could outperform Bitcoin until sometime in 2027. I don't think with if you follow the 4-year cycle, it probably wouldn't last that long. But, let's factor it, like say it's more like 2016 here, that jump up was just, I don't think it's going to go this crazy, but, you could just, it's not going to be diminished returns, but it could outperform until mid 2025, maybe more. So yeah, you could keep going up a lot. You know, you could absolutely keep going up a lot. So I wouldn't be asleep on Ethereum. I think it will come back. But I mean, I wouldn't put all your eggs in one basket. I mean, there's going to be a lot of altcoins that probably will outperform Ethereum as well. If we look at, let's look at Matic ETH, just for example. If we want to look at that one, I mean, that's really bled a lot against ETH.
Oh my God.
But it's starting to show some strength, starting to show a little bit of strength here. So maybe let's go on the monthly here. Green dot in the monthly. Yeah, I mean, be diversified with these altcoins. Diversification.
Okay.
I mean, we really want to, we want to follow. Last thing I'll show you real quick, total 3. If we can follow, just have a diversified portfolio of altcoins and follow total 3, if we can get just back up to all-time, we're going to probably make new all-time highs, but it's 100% just back up to all-time highs of total 3. If we draw a fib level here and try to predict where we could peak out, if you just have a nice diversified, if you're just throwing darts at a wall with altcoins, even if you just have 20 of them diversified, you probably get 300%, 200 to 300%. I would guess.
Man, I mean, this is the hopium we need. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, and there's a lot of concerns about the election, and there's some big implications, in the positive and the negative for whoever comes out on top in this selection process. Are you factoring in any of the electoral kind of projections into how you're handling your trading plan come November, even a month earlier, September? Is that going to play a big factor in how you move around your bags or however long you hold them?
Yeah, the election, I mean, I don't really trade or do anything just based on, who I think is going to win or based on anything like that. I think crypto's too powerful. I think there's only so much who gets in can really do to affect crypto. I look at the history, the 4-year cycle, and I mean, whether or not it's 4-year cycle or whether or not it's the pattern in elections, we generally pump kind of into the election and continue forward into the year after. Let's assume worst case scenario. Let's assume the candidate who's most anti-crypto gets in. It's going to take time for them to implement those policies and really do anything that affects crypto. They may not, that could follow the 4-year cycle. Maybe the first year, 2025, they can't do anything. Maybe in 2026, they could do more things to crypto. That brings us into the next bear market. This election is going to be interesting. I think the Supreme Court may be the one that decides this election.
This is another point why I'm worried about 2026. Like, I have so many reasons why I'm worried about 2026 on the macro scale. You just brought up another reason. And, I'd imagine if that side does get selected by the powers that be, I'll be having a couple boating accidents. And, so that's definitely going down. Well, Evan, you brought some great alpha, and I love the comparison of ETH to Bitcoin, Matic to ETH. And that green monthly dot on Matic is something that I feel very, very excited for, because I felt like Matic is one of the big winners in layer 2s. And it's outperformed things. It was running right next to like Loopring, and most people don't even know what Loopring is now. Loopring was a good competitor layer 2 last cycle that I also made money on. But Matic has got all of those partnerships cooked into the books, and a really good business development team that made big moves even through the accumulation range. So that is some good data to keep in mind. Well, Evan, I absolutely love the data you bring. Where can people find you? When are you streaming, and how do they keep up with all of your analysis on these markets?
So I think the biggest thing people can do is subscribe to me on YouTube, youtube.com/Evan ALDO, just my name. And I do live streams generally in the afternoons, most weekdays, and a lot of pre-recorded videos as well. So hit the bell notification like everybody tells you to do, so you get those these updates. I do post updates and other things on Twitter as well, or X, at Real Evan ALDO. So check, those are 2 main ones. Check those out. Always appreciate you having me on, Drew. Great to be on.
Yes, dude. I mean, your insight is very valuable, and I don't like getting stuck in echo chambers, and I like the work you've done over the years, so I appreciate you coming on, and glad to collab or anything like that. If you have some spots for me to rant, I swear to God, I won't get you banned. I have a list of words that I use, and I've gotten around the algorithmic robots with it, so I will slightly behave, but
I like that. A little cheat sheet right there.
That's right. It's my own language. I appreciate you, Evan. We're going to dig into the rest of the chaos here in the markets, but you have a fantastic day, sir.
I'll see you, man. You too. Bye.
See ya. Man, he solves. I was going to give him the questions about the adjusted prices, the buying power. That's a big thing that's been on my mind, Justin.
Yeah.
It's like that first peak in Bitcoin, that was our true all-time high in 2021. When we hit that peak, and then the buying power and the inflation on our dollar is just, it's been really painful. I got a good question. What do you got?
I wanted to say what he was talking about with altcoins and what you started. Well, first of all, I'm really glad that he didn't agree with the 43K thing, because that would be horrible and that would be totally against what I see in the market. Again, you definitely want to look at time from the halvening. That's what some of the professionals do. So we're at 123 days today of the halvening. When you get about 150, that is the clear directional change. That's about September 9th, I believe. So that's a key factor for me when I feel like, okay, are we throwing away the 4-year cycle, which historically we haven't done yet? And so that's one thing. But ETH has always been a lagger. ETH was a lagger last cycle. Everybody thought it was over. They were very pissed. People's price predictions were coming to, but then all of a sudden it set fire. It went up. It didn't get to what some people thought, 20K. I mean, everybody thought, I don't know if people remember, but people were calling for a 300K Bitcoin last cycle. A lot of people do not want to say that. A lot of the influencers were saying that last cycle. Yeah. Obviously, everything came back down to earth, thank God. But with the ETH thing, it lagged. I see ETH being fine. You got to think, especially with institutions getting poured, like they pour a lot of money into it. And then again, look where the stables are. It far superior outside of Tron. It has more stables than Tron, but it's next to Tron. So it's got 53%. Tron's got 30-something% of the stables. I think we're fine with ETH.
Dude, and something else on the stables. We saw $1 trillion worth of USDT move yesterday. $1 trillion worth of USDT. Moving around. I mean, the different whale alerts were 85 mil USDT transferred from Tether Treasury to Bitfinex, Bitfinex to Tether Treasury, just back and forth. $1 trillion back and forth.
Interesting.
There's some things happening. There's some people preparing their bags for this.
I believe so. I would be curious if we could track down what network I bet you it would have been Tron coming online. Tron, the big meme coin launch pad.
Are you going to get in that Tron ecosystem? I just feel like the getting's been had already. Like, are you still feeling like there's room to move in that TRX narrative?
I don't. Look, that network, I don't. We'll see how long it lasts. But a lot of chains, like Blast had a moment. Now it's Tron's having a moment. It seems like Solana, I'll say this again, Solana, because of how they built their dApps early on, they're very user-friendly. They look much like a lot of the dApps that we're familiar with, which is, Instagram and all that. You have that feel to it. I just think Solana is going to continue to keep all the traction when it comes to meme coins.
It kind of feels like Solana is going to be this market's ETH in a lot of ways.
I don't think it'll be this market's ETH. I think it'll be next market's ETH.
Okay.
I think this market's ETH is going to be ETH, and then the other layer like base, optimism, and then the optimism stack. The reason I say that is their updates aren't going to solve the issues that they're having right now. So I think it's going to be another few years before they'll have like the real issues solved.
Jesus Christ. These are things to think about. I got a lot of crazy, honestly, I'm sweating looking at all the rest of the stories right now because things are crazy. I'll give you some of the more bullish things first here. U.S. Senator Cynthia Lummis talking about creating the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve in the Bitcoin Act, which we made a video about not too terribly long ago. It'd be cutting our national debt in half by 2045, securing the U.S. as a world leader in financial innovation, basically controlling the production of Bitcoin at a larger scale, and then creating a brighter future for generations of Americans. She's trying. It's a large order, and we are doomed if the hyena gets into place, because this bill will never see the light of day.
I'm very much terrified of it.
It's a real potential, man.
It really is. I never would have thought. I think since the grazing of the ear, everybody thought like, oh God, it's a shoe-in. I'm telling you, if you don't believe that the media played a role, like a heavy role in the election, was not whatever we're calling it, look at what the media is doing right now.
Yeah.
And how much they wanted to arrest Elon. They wanted to arrest Elon just for having a spaces or an interview with Donald Trump. And the rest of the legacy media was totally against that. But then you got the UK. So there's serious problems. And I am getting, it's not that this side of the other side is any better, it's good or anything. It's terrible. The ticket's terrible, all that stuff. they have the media. They got the media that's brainwashing everybody, and that's where the power is right now.
Yeah, I mean, and crypto wise, I also saw some shit here. Mt. Gox started moving $700 million worth of Bitcoin to an unknown wallet, according to Arkham. So there's some rumblings there. There's some scary stuff that we're looking at. Just reading a little bit into this. The defunct crypto exchange sent a Bitcoin worth 700 mil to wallet address, yada, 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 at around 11:30 p.m. Universal Time on Tuesday, along with a transfer of 1,200 Bitcoin or 74 mil to another address identified by Arkham as a cold wallet belonging to Mt. Gox. So we see some movements there. There's still some downside to have. I really haven't seen the markets dump or flush out from Mt. Gox yet, but there is this creepy looking pterodactyl flying over our bull market right now. And it feels a little weird. You know what I mean? I got to talk about it in case it happens. A lot of these wallets, I mean, these are people that were into Bitcoin 10 years ago. They've, been held on the sidelines. Now they get access to their Bitcoin over the next few months. And even some already, it's going to be seen on how they handle that Bitcoin if they hodl, because they got it at a much, much cheaper price than our current market is showing right now. So got to keep that in mind. Now let's run the mid-roll, and then I'm going to get into this craziness. This is nuts. What I have to show to you guys after this commercial is just going to blow your mind. So let's roll it.
The Blockchain Basement is powered by Arculus. This is the world's leading crypto cold storage where you can easily secure, buy, swap, send, and receive all your crypto with a simple tap using 3-factor authentication to make sure to keep your assets safer than ever. Make sure to support the channel. Use code BASE10 and click the link down in the description to get your hands on your security today.
Oh my God. I got you again, Isaac. There is no gating the mic. I don't know.
I don't feel like muting them either. So you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do. Now there's some big worry about what I've been talking about over the past, honestly, I think it's been about a month since we've been highlighting Coins Chick. Hot mic.
We know. That's okay.
I've been highlighting the fake jobs data for a long time. Now these market pundits are figuring it out. The jobs numbers are even worse than they thought. Don't forget that today's massive downward revision, second largest on record, is on top of already existing downward revisions to initial monthly jobs report figures. On all these revisions, job growth for the 12-month period was wildly overestimated, now coming in at 1.2 million jobs that they lied about creating to have all of these wonderful ads come out. We did it, Joe. We brought the economy back. We did it. We're so good. And now it's all fake. So the Federal Reserve has been flying blind, operating off of, honestly, there's no way that the Federal Reserve didn't know that this was a farce, right? I mean, do you give them any credit that they were just duped?
No, I don't give any of them credit at all with anything, but no, absolutely not.
Yeah, it's honestly the biggest negative revision on payroll since the global financial crisis. So that's fantastic. Crucially, it took place in an election year right before the election was to go underway and was meant to pad the numbers, making the economy appear much stronger than it was. This is a shout out to Zero Hedge, also covering it for months on end. They are ahead of the beat as well. And now we have U.S. housing starts drop by 6.8% month over month in July to 1.24 million, the lowest level since the flu season, rather. This was much larger than the expected 1.5% decline and below the long-term average of 1.43 million. Now, they were expecting a 1.5% decline in housing starts. Instead, they got a 6.8 decline in month-over-month housing starts. And this is, I want to ask you this, Justin.
Wait, what is housing starts?
It means new construction projects.
Okay.
Yeah. So essentially new build outs. Mm-hmm. And there is a lot of people on the outside looking into the housing market, waiting for this massive decline in housing prices across the board. We've already seen it in city centers, larger city centers. Do you think that there's more pain to be had in the cost of houses falling down, but also creating an opportunity for people that want to buy houses? Because that's what a lot of people on the outside looking in are hoping for.
They're hoping for it. And I think at one point, man, my eyes look really blue. But,
Well, it's the gaze. It's the gaze of your eyes. Yeah, very deep.
No, I think they're hoping for it. Unfortunately, I think we've seen outside of if we do see a complete collapse in it, you're going to see a lot of other things that are really bad. And it's not just going to be the housing prices going down. You're going to see an entire recession across the board, and that includes, I think, crypto. I think we have seen the drop. And I know some states the percentage is a little higher on the drop. I think Georgia is one of the less, and Florida is actually I think average is 2 or 3%. I can't remember on the housing drop of the prices. But I don't think we're going to see the significant change in the pricing from this point. I think we kind of saw what we saw already, and we also saw it in the car market too. I mean.
Dude, I'm excited about the car market falling. I love it. I'm finding some sequoias for nice sequoias for under 20 grand. And I wanted to buy one I felt like buying one today. My wife talked me out of it. I talked some because I spend a lot on gas, and the kids, they can't get in and out of a sequoia very effectively.
The new or used one?
I only buy used.
Only buy used, yeah.
Yeah, I don't buy new vehicles. And also, I'm not going to buy a new Toyota with that new V6 engine. That feels like I want the V8. The 5.7 liter V8 is the GOAT. I don't understand why they ruined everything and made a V6. There is some nuance to the housing data as well, because single family housing starts decline by a massive 14% month over month. So that's single family houses that everyone dreams and hopes of getting. But it was somewhat offset by multifamily startups, the apartment complexes that jumped by 14.6%. So we have a changing of hands, less single family houses being started up and more of these bird boxes being put in so that you can put your money into rent and then just watch it burn. Because when you rent, it's literally just throwing your money into a dumpster and watching it start on fire by someone cackling on the outside looking in. Very painful process. My heart goes out to people that are stuck renting because it is just guaranteed death by 1,000 cuts.
Renting and the tiny homes.
Yes.
The tiny home, I think the people that sold people on tiny home living is ridiculous. I mean, if you think about what you've done with your life, you have the ability, you used to, the house, the 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom house. Now they've convinced you that it's cool to live in something that's half the size of a single wide trailer.
Those people are coming out and they're talking about how sad they are now, too.
I know.
They're isolated.
I'm sure the suicide rate's high with those people, but it's you literally live in a shoebox, and you're supposed to be happy about this. They remember the videos about it. Look, I live in a tiny home, minimalization. It's ridiculous.
Well, not only are they getting people to be forced into bird boxes and live these sad, isolated lives, but now the hyena is backing Joe Biden's 44.6% capital gains tax proposal, the highest tax proposal increase in history. The proposal also includes a 25% tax on unrealized gains for high net worth individuals. Unrealized gains, 25% tax on it. How would they enforce
politicians have to pay taxes?
Dude, I mean,
will Pelosi have to pay taxes on her unrealized gains?
She's probably shitting her pants over this proposal, right? I mean, she's sitting on some gains right now. So, in other words, if you buy a Bitcoin at $50K and it goes up to $70,000, but you don't cash out the Bitcoin, you still owe tax of $20,000 of capital gains. Insanity. She cannot win. There will be no country left. People are freaking out. This is the imagery they're using to explain the current situation that we are in. Funny to see, though, that the, what do you call them here? The llama riots outside the DNC convention are going against the Democrats as well. You know what I mean? And it's kind of funny because it's being funded by the Inflation Reduction Act, which was put into place by the Dems themselves. So nice to see their own animals and alligators bite their own hands. Very interesting.
Do they give you reason? Going back to the unrealized thing, what is the logic behind that? How do you sell that as
they'd have to force you to sell. That's asset seizure. In essence, you can boil it down to asset seizure. This is probably one of the most dystopian things to think about as a possibility in the United States. Is they're padding it with all of this soft news. It's asset seizure. They're going to try to seize your assets and make you take 25% of those unrealized gains and give it to the state.
Is it stocks, crypto, or is it also
it's across the board.
housing?
It's across
everything.
the board. Yeah. It's across the board. And, you know, we don't hear many shitcoiners talking about this from Mitchell. Shitcoiners awfully quiet about the whole unrealized capital gains tax, perhaps because they don't have any unrealized gains. That's an ouch. That's a burn right there. And another one from Shaquille Oatmeal, property taxes already a tax on unrealized gains anyways. So not only do they get the consistent taxation on the property that you own.
I never thought about that.
Yeah, because you already pay property tax for even if you've paid off a house outright, they still fucking tax you every single year, thousands of dollars.
I don't know, you moved from Colorado, right?
Yeah, I came from Colorado.
So in Florida, you know, obviously Florida is one of the better states when it comes to these kind of things. There's no state tax and stuff like that. Did you find it? When you got your vehicle license, was it more expensive in Georgia to get your vehicle license than it was in Colorado?
Much more expensive in Colorado.
Much more
expensive.
It was way more expensive here than it is in Florida. Florida is obviously for a lot of different reasons. But
really?
I was very surprised to get my. They took the total value, and it was like $10K to get my vehicle licensed in Georgia, and it's only an annual cost of like $150 in Florida.
Dude, Army Piper's talking no property tax for him in Texas. We need to go figure that out.
Oh, man, we need to go to
Texas.
Texas
is a good spot.
That's the place to go.
Well, I went to Austin a few times. Fantastic.
Austin is nice. It was nice.
Austin is nice. I mean, it's overtaken by blue hairs right now.
Right.
So, but it needs people like me to come reclaim the area back. Right. We need to We need to conquer.
Down.
Yeah, we need to reconquer. So, and also we have this from Ryan Selkis. It gets worse, folks. The hyena's great crypto reset would indeed reset the U.S. ecosystem to zero under Treasury Secretary Gary Gensler. This is absolutely insane that this idea is being floated around. Harris likely to nominate Gensler as a Treasury Secretary if elected, the Senate sources are highlighting. Publicly, the SEC chairman hasn't expressed a desire to leave his current role, but here's what's going on. I'm going to shoot from the hip. I'm going to give it to you straight. If the orange one returns, Gensler's out. He's fired. Trump saw the reaction from major money players in Nashville. He knows that Bitcoiners and people that are intrinsically important to moving this country forward in an economically competitive way want Gensler gone, fired, put up on a post, make an example of him. On the other hand, you have the hyena who sources are saying wants to put him in the seat of current Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen. So imagine that if a person that has tried everything he can to arbitrage an ecosystem, which he very well understands, he taught about crypto at MIT, there is no acting like Gensler doesn't understand what he is doing when he's going after crypto. To give him the power of the Treasury of Secretary, that's your doomsday scenario, right?
Well,
there.
he was on. It was Jim Cramer when he was on there. He said that there's people getting extradited. There's people going to jail in the crypto space. This was recently. This was two months ago when he was saying all this stuff. It will destroy the space.
Yeah,
this will destroy the. And here's the crazy thing. I have friends that are blue hairs. I don't know if that's what
that's
we're
a good
to call
one.
them.
Blue
hairs.
Yeah,
and huge in this space. They have all their net worth tied up in this space, and the derangement syndrome is so strong that they're willing to vote blue hair.
100%. And I even have family members that over the years I've tried to conversate with them. I've tried to be reasonable, and honestly, I no longer am being very reasonable. I got banned off Facebook again last night. They banned me off Facebook. Yeah, because I purposely went back onto Facebook. I've had to create now 4 different Facebook accounts to go back in there and talk my shit because I can't stop. I won't stop. And the TDS, Orange Man Derangement Syndrome folks, they are absolutely bewildered that I would still come out of them sharing my memes and sharing my opinion. And they act like they're going to change my opinion and have me come over to the blue side. It's absolute insanity. Because I'm looking at it as a mental illness now. If you're in crypto and you're going for the left, in my opinion, there is mental illness involved with that thought process. And this is a great post from Van Eck, one of the largest asset managers out there. You're not having a brat summer. They're talking about the hyena or a demure fall. You are having a manic episode when they're talking about the potential increase in unrealized taxes on capital gains. This is absolute insanity to be floating the idea of a asset seizure as normal on top of the taxes that we already pay across the board for everything: sales tax, income tax, property tax, you name it. If you really add up all of the things that you get taxed on, it comes out to right around 60%.
Double, triple, quadruple tax.
It's
your money gets taxed 5 or 6 times.
And that's like where we get into this is no longer America. And I've said it, you know, just not being able to trust the selection process. In my opinion, if I was sitting at the lead of this country, this justifies a national divorce. As ugly as it may sound, it justifies a national divorce. So that's where you need people like me, you know, and that's where I need more things like tanks, right? Do you see why my theory of tanks is coming full circle now?
I like the tank.
I feel like I'm really ahead of the game when it comes to that. I found some great tanks. Me and Crypto Man Sam might be racing to the finish line on that tank. I saw he's trying to buy that tank too. The price went up to 20K, so we're going to be tracking
Where
that.
do you get a tank titled? Do you just go to your local title office and get a title?
I mean, I'll figure it out.
Regular license plate?
Am I really going to need a title if I'm going to be using a tank? You know, that's the same thing as like the ham radio license, you know? Like, are you really going to be worrying about a ham radio license if an EMP or whatever goes off? The 1861 moment happens again, and you're sitting there worried about people listening into your conversation or stopping you in some van outside. No, you're not going to be worried about that. Crypto Man Sound, the founders put tea in the canal over less than what we deal with now. Just saying, big shout out to that super chat. That is the type of energy we need across the board. And on top of that, you know, it wasn't just the 3% tax on the tea, which pushed Americans over the edge into getting the British out of their pockets. But it was also the taxation without representation that really helped push that over the edge. And where are we at right now? Do we feel like these elected leaders are representing the values and the wishes of the average American person? Ask yourself that. We are so far beyond being represented by these bureaucrats. It's absolutely insane.
None of the senators, Congress, they didn't run on, and we're going to send money to the Ukraine. Like, they didn't run on that. So why do they get to make that decision to send tens of billions of dollars constantly over to another country that really just gets siphoned back to their pockets?
It's so insane, man. And, you know, we did have, there's rumors circulating. We highlighted earlier this week that RFK is going to stop with his selection campaign, and he's going to join forces with Trump. Now, Polymarket's got odds at 85% RFK is going to drop out.
Wow.
RFK.
That would be strong. I think that's smart on his part. I think he sees the danger in what we're kind of up against. Did anybody tune into that thing last night, the DNC, the Blue Air?
I was watching outside of it. There was a bunch of llama protesters that were getting arrested, and they were burning American flags. That's fine, right? You can just burn the American flag and cause chaos in the streets. It's going to get so much worse than the BLM movements. I'm telling you guys, there's more money funding them this time. There's more aggravation. Not only do you have the, the more Ahmeds and the llamas, but you also have the BLM infrastructure in place, and you have more money and more feverish pitch on it. It's going to get bad. To be fair, the tax plan would not impact 99% of Americans. 25 unrealized target would affect less than 0.01% of people. That being said, recent inflation, it would take 24 years to hit 100%. And there's something within that, though, that 0.01% of these market managers, you know, and people that push the economy forward because they feel like they're in a good economic situation. I was under the hiring. I was a headhunter during Trump's presidency, and a lot of people complained that those tax credits and those tax cuts would not affect the average person. They absolutely did. They absolutely did, because I did read your shit. Then thank you for that, Army Piper. What they did is actually institute a positive feeling within the managers that move the economy forward and hire people. So that I saw, and I made a lot of money being the person that went out and hired people, because it was an amazing time. If you had specific skill sets, you were sought after, and they would, you know, absolutely pay a premium to the employee and the people that found the employer or the employee. And it was just an amazing economic moment. And I helped build a company from, $0 to $6 million a year in revenue, but then they let me go over not taking the jab. Ain't that some shit?
That's crazy.
It's $6 million a year with a 5-person crew, and they got rid of me over that shit.
That's a common story though. Free needles and vasectomies. I did hear that was going on outside of the convention itself. I also heard that they were doing 9-month abortions too. So they were doing that right outside of the convention last night.
It's so bad. It is so bad. And I don't even think we can say this dude's name on the public YouTube account here, but you criticize ventriloquists for killing children, and days later your home is raided. I don't believe in coincidences. If you're watching this live and not just listening, you can see who I'm talking about. If not, go ahead and check out the visual of this, because this just happened again to this dude, and it's so crazy to see it.
Weird.
And one of the guys that was raiding his house and arresting him was like, "You pissed off some really important people." He just
kind of shrugged and was like, "You pissed off the wrong people."
Yeah, it's so crazy, man. This is why we need that 1776 running through our brain, our veins, our brains.
Still in prison?
No, I think he got let out.
How long? What? He wasn't in like 12 years or something.
Very long time. Very long time.
Just for exposing a lie that the government just.
I don't think he's coming back to the U.S. Do you think he is?
No, he's a Snowden guy.
Yeah, I don't think he's coming back. Now this kind of crazy. McDonald's Instagram account was hacked, and hacker rug pulled a Solana-based scam token. So this was absolutely insane. Look at the message on there. So crazy. Sorry, not gonna say it. You have just been rug pulled by India_X. Thank you for the $700,000 in Solana. What a bloodbath. What a bloodbath.
Was it Pump Fun? Did they use Pump Fun?
Dude, you know it was Pump. I could assume that it was Pumped Up Fun. I could assume that. Now, that's not a great look, and honestly probably terrifies the shit out of the average person that's not involved with crypto already. And this was the Instagram post, just for reference. This picture of this freaking furry purple. What do you even call this?
Grimace?
Grimace is his name? Is that what the shake was, right? Everyone was like doing this like trend where they would like drink the shake. It was like this purple drink.
Maybe.
I don't recommend drinking anything that's purple, red, all the dyes. Like, they're just proven murder machines. So please treat your bodies well. It's pretty scary out there. And they go through extra steps to put those things into the drinks.
Yeah.
It's not cheap.
Yeah.
Millions of dollars. So now what do you think about this? Raoul Pal stating that he's going to avoid old coins like XRP and ADA. I just feel like you're being done a disservice because you're in a cult. Calling XRP and ADA holders cultists.
You know, that was something when I started hearing the ADA cult thing, it was a few months ago. And then I started thinking about it. I was like, man, that's interesting. I never would have thought last cycle and the cycle before that, just being in it as long as I have, that they would actually ever have called Cardano a cult. Some people are saying it's one of the biggest scams in the space. I'm not saying that is the case at all. I'm just saying what I'm hearing. Because I guess they think Charles is one of the best. You know, the way he speaks about Cardano doesn't really match up with what's getting built on Cardano. It just can't seem to it can't stay within a few miles of where the space is.
Yeah.
And that's always been my complaint. It's not that I hate Cardano, I hate all the community. Don't start attacking me. It's just you guys have to acknowledge the fact that you guys are always 5 steps back from everything else. Solana started after you guys, and look where it's at. So,
dude, free hot dog if we got a vasectomy in Chicago.
Shit.
That's a big deal.
Oh,
yeah, man. Kind of gives those free hamburgers for the jab thing in New York too.
And fries. Remember, he got you free fries
so
too.
Awkward, bro. That's when I knew that they don't care how idiotic it looks. They don't care how stupid the party looks. And honestly, it terrified me how many Americans didn't see that is absolute insanity to think about. Now, we need to, if you're out there, you're watching all of them, just push these anti-human agendas and trying to murder babies. You need to move the other direction. You need to create a large family. You need to become the problem. You need to expand what they call the problem, the nuclear family, because it is very important to to our society to have strong families and communities. With those, you become ungovernable. Now, on the L2 side, we're talking about Matic. It's down pretty heavily. Where this is from Milk Road. L2 tokens getting slaughtered by current market conditions. Is this a good buying opportunity or a hard pass? A couple of these probably going to be underperformers, but these are like Blast. You mentioned Blast. It kind of looks like the fun's done on Blast. That was like seasonal.
Very seasonal. Blast is one of those. I think they just kind of rushed and did it because there was some hype around Blur. I don't think Blast is going to come back. Some people don't know this, but Blast was actually on Pump Fund when they launched. They took it off after a few months of non-action. I do think Optimism is going to come back heavy. You got to remember that's what Base is built on. They're not going to let that go.
What about ARB? What do you think about ARB?
I think is going to be up there with Optimism. I have a hard time. You're not going to like this. I have a hard time with Matic, and I disagree with them being able to keep up with the building during the bear market. Ooh. They had a lot of partnerships at the tail end of last cycle. But if you've noticed, they didn't get into the meme cycle that heavy. I've met Sandeep a few times. Very good dude. But go find a recent story where they built something. You know what I mean? It's kind of difficult to find it. So I'm a little worried about it. Some of the circles that I run in as far as builders go, they're a little worried about Matic. And they're more into the newer L2s.
Dude, and there's so much worry about Cardano. Bro, there's so much. Like, I'm able to clearly dispel the expectations for XRP because the size of the market cap, you need to accomplish a massive market cap just to get back up to like $1.90. And I see much, much more opportunity in that.
And
Cardano's tough.
Well, going to the XRP market, and I'll get on Cardano just a second, but on XRP, people did not educate. The people that talked and were pro XRP, they didn't know how to educate people, whether it was through ignorance or maybe they were just trying to pump their bags. They didn't educate on the tokens unlock that happens constantly, that the token supply that's circulating now than where it was at last all-time high, which I think was in 2018, right? It didn't even get back at last cycle. There is a massive amount of tokens in circulation, meaning what you just said, it's going to take a huge amount of money to get into that for it to go up to anywhere close to where it was at. So just keep that in mind, you XRP maxis. Go look at the circulation. Go to coin market cap, go to historical data, and you can see circulating supply and do the math and see where the market cap's got to go to. As far as Cardano goes, yes, there's a lot of I have the same concerns I just mentioned. It's a I don't know.
There's some nuance though for ADA because they're actually lessening the rewards for staking. It is, you can stake directly out of your custody, and the rewards that they're giving out for staking, BJ gave me that info because his rewards, he sees that overall the rewards are being cut down, so the issuance is less. But it does have that massive market cap worry for me. If I'm out here trying to choose new altcoins to buy, I want things with a lot more upside in them. And I also want cryptos that are going to be focused and leaning into juicy narratives. Like we got the AI narrative, we got the RWA narrative going on. And yeah, I mean, Crypto Crab, man, Ripple dumping their bags on you. And Ripple has been doing that month over month, man.
They've never stopped. They've never stopped.
And every time they do it, there's like a bunch of super bullish news that comes out. They pat it down with 20 different articles, XRP to this number by this day, and then all these massive publications, and then you get all the influencers picking it because it's got the most upvotes on Crypto Panic, and they know that that's what people want to hear. This is not the reality, and this is why they call me the Druth, is because I bring uncomfortable things. Caspa, I honestly need to start buying, but we've been mining Caspa for a really long time at Hit Network as well, well before this massive upswing. So I think we have a good amount of Caspa, but Caspa is looking like a violent mover this cycle. Now this one I think is going to be a violent mover as well. This is from Hawk Crypto Mining. Very cool dude. Hung out with them out in Bitcoin Nashville. Yo, $5. These dudes are crazy. You can run a node on Run on Flux Cumulus nodes, now only $5 at terrahosting.io. No contracts, cancel it whenever you want. You own your own hardware. It's pretty interesting. It might be a good way for me to get involved with a node for a project I really, really believe in. And beyond that, I'm going to go on over right now to 2bit. I have a link for 2bit in the description. This is one of the few places where I get spot access, as you know, in my local jurisdiction here. And I do very much appreciate exchanges that respect privacy. So I'm going to go on over here. I think I'm going to pick up about $200 worth of it. Bam. And I'm going to start stacking. The reason why is because Flux has an insane amount of AI integrations coming into it. Not only just, you know, the last few weeks, there was a big release on all the really realistic AI videos that are being created on the Flux ecosystem, but there's advancements within it that are very applicable to the average person about finding what is real and what is not from these AI imagery that we see. It's moving the needle. There's a lot of people that freak out when they see an AI image of Kamala's, you know, what do you call the conventions? They see 3 different knees and they start to wonder about it. Flux on the low key has the absolute ability and potential to release something that is going to break all that into pieces and to be able to actually understand what is real and what is not real on Web 2 with an application from Web 3. So they're not trying to reinvent the wheel or become the Web 3 operator and AI overlord system, but they do have a very concise focus on how to be useful in this current environment and in this current market. So beyond that, I'm looking at the Flux chart here, and I'm thinking that it's nice and oversold. We had the good sign of life over the last 7 days. I was like, oh baby, and honestly, very agitated to see it taken off so aggressively before my bags are fully packed on this thing. Moved from 47 cents up into the 50-cent range, all the way up to honestly just about 70 cents. But I talked about it earlier on this week and into last week. I'm waiting for the pullback. I feel like the pullback has felt pretty good. So now I'm going to start DCAing this bad boy, and you check it out on the all-time nice and sold off. And this is the price reset for many good altcoins that I highlighted with Evan. In March, you had amazing good times. You had the NVIDIA conference. You had all those things happening. And now we see a nice price reset. So I'm feeling good about Flux. And I'm going to start building out a pretty damn good bag of it here in the blockchain basement. So that is the good stuff. I had to tell them all the scary stuff and what we're dealing with in September with the feds and all this fake data, the gains tax. And honestly, I'm terrified for this country if the hyena gets back into, or, you know, what is she going to change? She's had this VP spot for 4 years. Biden was a VP before he was president for Obama. Like, we've had many organizations you had. And essentially, who do you think is pulling the strings right now for Kamala and Biden? It's Obama.
It's Obama.
Let's be honest.
It's Obama. And the only thing they'll change is the women's rights issue, which, whatever, that's fine. Do the women's rights issue. But anything else, all the other crap that they're promising you, the minority stuff, all that other stuff, they've had decades to fix these problems.
Nothing's been fixed.
They have never done anything. So keep that in mind. Be smart. Stop. They're the ones that are asleep. They're not woke. So get out of that mindset that these are the people that have your best interest. They have only made the world worse, the country worse. Gas prices continue to go up every time blue hair is in office. Keep that in mind too. Groceries always go up. It is what it is. Stop being stupid.
Yeah, it's absolute insanity. God, on my trading side on Blowfin here, if you are out there trading, I got a link, and actually on the low key, I am working on a pretty awesome campaign for new users that use our link and support the blockchain basement to get some major perks from Blowfin as well. And really on my trading side, we're pumping up really good while we're talking. We're trying to get back up to that 61 spot. I think we're going to have some headwinds though, about mid 61s, and then I'll be looking for a pullback and have to readjust kind of the baseline. It's probably going to end up in the 59K range, but I'm just looking at the volume profiles compared to the MACD. Probably got some room to run on the MACD here. The money flow that Evan was showing looks pretty damn good. I do not short in bull trends, and I always use very tight stop losses. So just in case the trade goes backwards and doesn't go my way, I don't lose too much, and I leave the upside pretty open. I left that trade open yesterday and made a 20% pump on the overall bag that I'm trading with. And shout out to the basement. They're like, hold it. I was going to take the profits at like 10%. Instead, we held it into the workout, got up to 20%.
Nice.
And it is a baseline rule. If I'm trading with the whole bag that's on my trading profile, I take that 20% gain and I don't look back. Even if it keeps going to the moon, it's okay. If I can make 10 to 20% daily on the bag, that is what I'm looking for to keep moving up. So if you're out there, use the link down in the description for Blowfin. I love that we have channel partners that respect our privacy on top of our cold storage partner. We have Arculus, which you can use a base 10 code to get 10% off of your Arculus card. They come in this sleek packaging, very, very easy to use. Get your crypto and get it off exchanges. Become your own bank. That is the baseline ethos of what made Bitcoin so powerful, is that it took the power away from banks and organizations that look to take the intermediary fees and control your money. Because guess what? If the hyena gets into office, she's going to control it even more. And you're going to have to go out there and have some boating accidents. So hope you guys are all doing well. We're only halfway through the week. I got to go do deadlifts now. It's going to be absolute insanity. And we're coming out with some major, dude, I didn't even tell you about the interviews. I'm not going to tell everyone because it's going to be a big surprise, but we interviewed one of the biggest names out there.
Elon Musk
big.
came. Oh, I was supposed to say
we got to
that.
get Elon.
Dang.
That would be huge, dude. Well, I got Roger Stone to follow me. We got interview with Fox News last week. So this is a big one. This is a big one. And we got to get up to New York to meet Fox.
Do it.
That's what we need to do.
I'll
Next
up there
month,
with
we're
you.
going next month.
Next
hopefully.
month we're going?
Hopefully.
Oh, shit. Okay. Look at this young man on the sticks just cooking. He's out there cooking, man. I mean, look, he's cooking like crazy. He started working here, and he looks like a completely different person than when he started working here. Very, very
Just wait
quick.
till next year. We're
I
going for the
know.
big games.
What are
Big
you, like
games, baby.
18 years old, just pumped full of testosterone?
Oh,
This
yeah.
is unbelievable.
Highest T level besides Drew in the office.
I mean, I don't know how I kind of like everyone's like talked to me like, man, you should do some roids. I'm afraid of the energy that's inside of me. I think that if I ever took roids, that would turn up the heat on the energy I already have inside of me, and that concerns
We've
me.
had roid problems here before.
Yes.
We
Yes.
don't want
I
that.
don't want to be that. So
We don't want that.
yeah, I'm gonna keep it reasonable. Appreciate every single one of you out in the chat for supporting this show. And becoming members, sharing the stream, smashing the like on your way out. It means the world to me. Push us over the edge and get us out to the masses. JT, Mark Vino, or M Vino, sufficient enough. Sin Diesel, we got Nicole Ministator back. I don't know if they're back from their big vacation. Shake and Bake, Gaddafi, what a wonderful name. Cryptic Crabman, Crypto Cody, Green Day Prophets, all the foundations of this channel, and Egged Pirates and K Jam down in the Rumble chat. You guys are absolutely amazing, and I'm going to see you very soon. Take care.